All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And this video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. And this week in Underdog Fantasy, I'm going with Devin Lloyd, higher than 3 assists in the Monday night game. Jake Browning, lower than 219.5 passing yards. Evan McPherson, higher than 1.5 field goals made. Calvin Ridley, higher than 56.5 receiving yards. And Evan Engram, higher than 5 receptions. Check that link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, and they will match you up to $100. All right, let's talk a little bit about Kyle Shanahan. He spoke to the media today for the first time since the Niners beat the Eagles. Couple things to report. One, Ross Dwelly's got a high ankle sprain. It sounds like he's going to miss a number of weeks. So Dwelly is out. Eric Armstead's got a foot and a knee injury. We'll know more about that in the next 24 hours. Spencer Burford's got a knee injury. He did start at right guard, and he had a good week of practice leading into the game, and he played the entirety at right guard, but he does have a knee injury. And so his status going forward is a little bit up in the air. Darrell Luter Jr.'s got a hamstring. He is out this week, and Ray McLeod's rib injury keeps him at day-to-day. Kyle was asked a little bit about Dre Greenlaw and his, sideline deal with Dom, the security guard, kind of the oddity from Niners Eagles. And Kyle just said, hey, it was just hard to accept the fact that Greenlaw, their leading tackler, one of their best players, got ejected from a game that didn't involve any interaction with any player or any coach. And he just, which seemed to be, obviously the Niners won the game. If they had lost the game and they had lost it because they didn't have Greenlaw, would have been a much more bitter pill. But because they had won the game, it seemed like Kyle was in a better spirit about the whole thing. But he just said, yeah, that was just hard to accept. I mean, you got this great player in Dre Greenlaw. He didn't have a deal with any other player or any other coach, and he's ejected from the game in a game of that magnitude. I mean, it just seemed preposterous, and Kyle kind of stated as much. He also said no hard feelings about Dom, the security guard. He said he talked to Dre about it, and pretty much Dre described the whole incident to him. But he also talked to some people that know Dom from Philadelphia, probably Javon Hargrave and others. And they said, hey, look, this guy's a good guy, and he's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. And so the Niners have no hard feelings at all towards Dom, and they don't want anything bad to happen to him. Now, as far as John Feliciano, Kyle said the plan was for Feliciano to play a little bit at right guard, but Burford had a good start to the game, and so they decided to stay with Burford at right guard. So this idea that Feliciano is an upgrade from Burford, maybe in the eyes of the 49ers, Burford is an upgrade from Feliciano. Or maybe Feliciano was dinged up and the Niners aren't saying so. But Burford started the game and they felt played well enough to stay in. And so Feliciano got no time at guard in this game. Kyle was asked about, how the Niners have played big in some of their big games. And he said, hey, look, we've got experience at this point playing in big games. There's guys that have played in the Super Bowl on this team. There's guys who have played in multiple NFC championship games. And when you've played in games of that magnitude, you can, the big spotlight doesn't scare you in any way. And he's like, hey, we got guys with experience playing in big games. And obviously the Niners played really well yesterday in Philadelphia. Kyle was asked a little bit about the difference in his team between going into the bye week after a loss to the Bengals, and now they're 4-0 since that bye week. And he just said, it was a combination of both getting guys back and guys being worn down and getting a little rejuvenated. I really think there's 3 things that you can point to. One is the Niners added Chase Young and also got some rest for Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, and then added Ambry Thomas on the back end. So you added a guy like Chase Young up front. You took out Oliver and you put in a faster, more athletic defensive back, and then you got your linebackers rested a little bit during the bye week, and he thinks that's the main reason that they're 4-0. since the bye week. Is just they were a little worn down. And they got a few guys back, and now they're just playing better football. Um, and he said basically, you know, somebody commented that, hey, look, during this stretch, the 49ers have stopped the run really well and run the ball effectively. And Kyle was asked how important it is to do those two things. And he said it's huge, which essentially is the essence of football. It all starts with, can you run the ball and stop the run? If you can run the ball, then suddenly your play action game works and everything works out better when you can run the ball. And then if you can stop the run, you can get teams into third and long and pin your ears back and hunt the quarterback. So stopping the run is essential. Running the ball effectively is essential. And the Niners are doing both right now at a pretty high level. Kyle was asked, I think, by Matt Barrows about Zach Ertz. If the Niners have interest in Ertz, especially now with the revelation that Ross Dwelley has a high ankle sprain. Technically, Ertz would take Dwelley's spot. And Kyle said, I wouldn't think so at this time. They like the group they have. So it sounds like Ertz is going to wind up somewhere else, whether it be Philly, Kansas City, Baltimore. Don't expect Zach Ertz to be a Niner. They'll kick tires, they'll talk about it. But, when Kyle said, I wouldn't think so at this time, that's as close as it gets to a no. So I would not expect Zach Ertz to be a 49er. Somebody commented that Nick Bosa's comment is that this is the most confident he's been in the 49ers offense since he's been a Niner. And that is a interesting revelation. I think it has a lot to do with Christian McCaffrey and his addition. It has a lot to do with Brock Purdy and his addition. The 49ers are a much better offensive team since they traded for Christian McCaffrey and drafted Brock Purdy. And he said, hey, look, you don't have to be perfect on defense. If you've got the Niners won for years with defense and a run game, but their defense almost felt like they had to be perfect. Now with an offense that's more explosive offensively, you don't need to be as perfect on defense. And Kyle kind of pointed that out. It's like, hey, I'm sure that's why Bosa said what he said, because, we've been really good at running the ball and really great on defense. And now we've got an explosive team offensively, and it just takes a lot of pressure. Every single play is not the game on the line when you have an offense that can put up 35 or 40 points a game. And then, Matt Mayoko finished up asking Kyle about the first 6 plays of the game where CMC just didn't touch the ball. And Kyle, of course, said what it was, which was it was situational. He's like, we got into second and long. We got into third and long. We're not going to use our running back that much on second and long and third and long. Then Kyle also pointed out that the third play of the game was a pass attempt to CMC. So they tried to get CMC the ball. They just weren't effective in doing it. And then other than that, it was a situational deal. So I think that pretty much explained it. I don't think when you score 42 points and you play as well as the Niners played, people are always looking for that one sliver of, discontent or whatever. And you're not going to get it out of Kyle as far as how they utilize Christian McCaffrey. They threw him the ball in the third play of the game. If they had not gotten into second and long and third and long on those first couple drives, he probably would have gotten the ball more. Instead, he really wasn't featured or utilized until that third series when the 49ers then went 6 straight series scoring touchdowns. So that was one of the questions today. All right, full breakdown there from Kyle Shanahan on his day after press conference. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.